Hi guys, how you doing? We're gonna take a day or maybe two off working on saws. My hands hurt so bad right now from twisting on T wrenches and stuff that I just gotta stop. Um, First thing is, anybody who's expecting to see me at Sawfest, I apologize. In the ninth hour, something happened. Barb had a medical emergency. That's just, we're not going to go into details. We don't know much right now, but as time passes, we'll know more. Um, so I didn't go, and I missed it. Just the way it is. Okay, what I did was picked up a Kelly Perfect Axe head, and it was, you know how rusty a lot of them old heads are. Uh, this is a 4.1 or a little bit more than that pound head. Now, this is what it looks like after I cleaned this. Okay, so I didn't want to make this look perfect, even though it's a Kelly Perfect. What I really wanted to do was get this in good working order. Okay, so how do you get the rust off your head when you know you're going to do something more? I didn't take a nick, a ding, a dent, nothing out of this head. Nothing. I left the blemishes, any rust pits, left them right in. I could have worked that right out and made a beautiful head. No, this is a head I'm going to use. And every mark that's on this tells a story to me. And I love the old stories, and I know you do too. Every one tells me what the man was dealing with. What you'll see in these old heads a lot of times, all these little dots. See all them little dots? Well, if you notice on the back side, you got the matching little dots. It's from vices. Yeah, that's what it's from. It's from vices. They used to clamp their head in a vise and they cut the handle off, and then they just use a drift to drift the what was left of the handle out. But I think it's a really kind of nice to show what the head's use was. And I'll tell you what it did. And this is a nice little trick. I use very high strength vinegar. Um, in my particular case, I get it at Lowe's, and you find it in the cleaning sections, like where ammonia and stuff is. It's real high acid vinegar. Boy, when you lift that, don't put it in your coffee maker. No, that was a mistake. So all I did was I soaked this head overnight. I put it in about 4 o'clock and dragged it out about 7 o'clock this morning. Out of that, I just put it in a container with a lid, filled it with that real high strength industrial grade vinegar, and let it take the rust off. Let it loosen it. Don't sand. Do not sand. Don't put it on your sander. Don't put it on your bench grinder. You see on eBay, especially, these guys will take these heads and you can see where they ground the crap out of them. There's a Black Raven right now that's starting bids $4.99. Been there for a few days. Nobody's bid on it because they took one that had a beautiful logo right here with that Black Raven, and they butchered somebody that's not even good with a grinder. Just ruined that head. I thought I'd wait till auction's over and offer him $25 for it. I might be able to save it or might not. Just the working heads I want. So I cleaned it, steel wooled it, left the defects, and I used gun bluing, just cold blue. 2 applications. I steel wooled it in between. I didn't want to make this a dark head. All I wanted to do was preserve it. And then you just take some of this break free CLP or anything like it, spray it down, wipe it in, rub it in with your fingers, Just rub it in with your fingers, just leave it. Let that oil soak back into that with that bluing. And you'll have, if this is the look you like, if you want it darker, you can get it darker. I'm using this, so I know what's going to happen. It's going to rub that off, but it's going to be a pretty head. And it's going to be nostalgic, okay? Now, I'm building a white oak handle for this, okay? This is what I'm going to do. And I've got several heads laying here in front of me that's got a nice story, too. I'm going to build, I think, a flat grain. So the grain's running. See, grain should run with the head up and down, right? I'm going to build it with grain going the wrong way so I can get all that blast of color in all that grain. It's a white oak handle. It's stronger than holy heck, you know. So this will work out nicely. And I'll probably build two. Here my buddy Eric Nelson's got a really nice black raven. And might give him a little surprise. Oh, it's not going to be surprised now, is it? Okay, now another thing that I have in some skills to use is a forge. I've got my own forge. I've had this head here. This is a Kelly handmade. Okay, I don't know if you can read it or not. You probably can't. You get everything just right, you can. Yeah, the true temper. You got to go way back to get one that's not a true temper. But what the problem is, if you look at this, when the head got loose, what they did just took a hammer and just smashed on that right in there. See, I mean, that looks terrible. And this side is worse than this side. Okay, so I can reforge this. Okay, now what I got to have is a drift. My problem is I didn't have a head that had a perfect eye that fit this. This is a problem. See all that mushrooming and stuff? We're going to fix that. Now, this Kelly Perfect has a perfect eye in every way. So, I'm going to build a drift that once I have this hot and can reforge, then this drift, it drives from the top down, okay, because it's wider up on the top so that, you know, when you put your wedge in, it spreads it. Now, what I have to do with this head, I know that one side is way more out of whack than the other side. I heat just this side. I'll heat both sides, but I want this side to move. So I'll get that moving with the drift. We'll stop. We'll let that cool and equalize, just air reduction. And then we'll just go ahead and finish with the drift. We'll heat both sides evenly and we'll drift that. So I look forward to showing you that. This is going to be a dead of the winter project, I'm sure. But this head's going to allow me to do that. Now, this is all stuff that I've learned from grandparents. And they were really, really good at stuff. And they did everything by hand, pretty much. Okay. Now, last Christmas, Barb bought me a metal detector. I was out this spring messing around with it. And I was up back in the woods. And I found this old roach. It's got a corner missing. That's not a defect. It isn't. All that is just a mark. Okay? I would love to rehang this. I'm not going to reprofile this. I'm not going to make it look like something it's not. I can about imagine a story behind this axe. I can picture 100 years ago or 120 years ago, maybe, by the shape of the head. A pair of kids is out chopping trees down with Dad's axe. Set it down, went out about their business. Yeah, it's a made-up story. I don't know nothing about it. But I'll bet you, I was a kid once, so weren't you. You know the deal. Okay. You know, I get so friggin' lost in what I'm doing here. Let me show you something. Because we're building our own handle from scratch, I dug out, I got a pair of pretty decent, I got a pile of drawshaves. This one's got a cracked handle. You know what? I can get these handles, and I probably will put a new pair on them. These ones didn't match anyway, you can tell. But it doesn't stop me from using it, does it? And if you notice, them handles don't line up with that blade. They're tilted so that you're in a natural working position and you can watch the top of your blade. Now, I'm going to point out something with this, but first I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. This one, nobody sanded, ground, or anything with modern tools. I don't even own one because it's so hard to straighten them out once somebody screwed them up. This one has been well used, and I can tell you what they used this for. It was somebody that was right-handed, used this for rough shaping buggy spokes. You want to know how I know that? I have started sharpening. See that witness mark right there? Now, if you look, you'll see that blade's wore a little more right in that area. That witness mark is at an angle. And that is because when you pull them, you don't pull them straight. You pull them like this. You want them to, and you can just pull and curve and move and everything. But if you look, that is a low spot. Okay? It's just slightly low. That's from the wood shavings. So that was used an awful lot for one thing. Boom, boom. Well, guess what? People don't know how to sharpen these anymore. They don't. And I looked, and I didn't find a video of how to sharpen these old antique drawshaves. So I'm going to show you. Self-whetstone. In this case, I've got a double-sided, a fine and a coarse. Now, I've got to clean this stone just a bit. I'm going to use some of this gun oil. Rub your hands. Lift the grime out of it. Wipe it off. Yeah, it's an oil stone. Well, people think that they got to be wet with oil. That's not the deal. You clean them with oil, and oil stays present. Now, I'm not going to be able to finish this drawshave in one day because this one's been let go, and it's going to take a whole bit of what I got to do to this. So let me just move the camera down, and I'll try to get it where you can see what I'm doing, okay? I need to get you closer, don't I? All right, so let's do that. Okay, so you can see my edge right there. Now, it's important to do this properly to have your light coming from this side going this way. Okay, so I'm going to do that because you're actually going to watch what you're doing. I had to move another axe out of the way. Okay, obviously, you can tell by looking at this that it needs some love. It needs some love. Okay, you take your stone. Now you watch this. You'll see that rock. See that? This is slightly round. You're going to have a temptation to just hit just that edge, just like the last guy that did this 100 years ago. He was just hitting that edge because he was in a hurry. Now, that's okay if you got a job you're trying to do. Take the time to straighten it up. So what you got to do is you got to get that flat. Get that stone flat. Okay? And just back and two like this. Now, you watch. The reason you have to have your light where I told you is you're watching where that stone goes. Don't do this. Not when you're roughing. Okay? If you ever get lucky to see a draw shave, draw knife that is in pristine conditions, you'll see little micro grooves from how that was sharpened like this. I'm sure it was lapped with a wheel of some sort at the end or something, but the old blacksmith ones, this is definitely made by a blacksmith. This one was. And I gotta say one thing, it's pretty darn good steel. So this is all you're trying to do. But you want to make sure that you're not cocking it, like this. Don't. Don't cock this way or this way. Get that flat. You're trying to maintain that profile. That is a very specific profile. Okay, so you can see that if you went this way, you'll catch just the edge. And if you went this way, you would sharpen back in here too far. Okay, this is actually, this kind of stuff, they didn't measure time with a watch or a clock. They used a calendar, okay? Now, a neat little trick is to start with the top of your stone up in here, and as you feel it loading up with grime, just keep bringing it back and back. So you start out like that, okay? And you watch them witness marks. You'll see that every stroke you make, and you're getting that flatter and flatter, okay? It doesn't take a lot of pressure, and if you notice, I'm drifting up slightly with my stone. Now, it would take an awful lot for me to get that witness mark out of there where the man was pulling on it, making buggy spokes. I'm not going to try because I got enough blade here I can work around it. What I do want is the proper job of sharpening. See, this won't become sharp for quite a while. Like I said, think calendar, okay? If you get in a hurry, walk away from this. Don't do it. If you don't have the patience, you want to do something the old way, you want to build an axe handle or God knows what, you want to do it with a drawshave, and you went and found one, and it's going to need some work, trust me. It's going to need some love. This is how you give it love. I'll warn you one thing. When you get halfway down, you stop. Halfway down here. Just see, I'm worked to here. See my dirt, my grit? Now we're going to oil it. I'm not forcing an edge on this by cocking it around. I am going to let the edge come to it, all right? Now, I don't know when this video will be up because I really, really want this right. You're going to be able to shave with this when I'm done, believe me. All right, you cannot over-sharpen one of these. It's not going to happen. You can still buy these, you know. I'm going to warn you of something. You don't get the quality of steel as I've got right here. You get something bright and shiny, and it's machine ground, and it's going to be very nice. But even if you do buy a brand new one, because that's what you want to do, if you'll take the time to stone your drawshave, you ain't going to believe how much nicer they are to work with. You can just peel the finest, absolute finest shavings with these when you got them right that you ever seen. Now, I have a Cooper's draw knife. It's got a slight bow in it. They were sharpened not with a flat one. It was like an oval, you know, like this, kind of like the end of a double-bitted axe handle. And it was a little oval, but it wasn't only about yay wide. And they did it the same exact way. Okay? So I'm going to take a few minutes. You know something? The darn thing's getting an edge right now. I don't know if you can actually see it yet, but it is. It's starting to edge. Like I said, I'm going to sneak up on this. Okay, now, I've got this where when I run my finger around here, all but this little spot, barely though, it feels just as smooth as all get out. And this is just with a rough stone, okay? So I have this quite well prepared. Now what happens is, and I don't know if I can get you to see that or not, we can try. There's a little edge that rolls up on that back side, okay? There is. Don't take it off with this. take it off with a fine stone, okay? And all you're doing is having that absolutely flat, okay? I'm going to cock it just the tiniest bit. Okay, you see on that, you'll see that slight little silver edge right there, just a slight little silver edge. I'm going to tell you right now, that's sharp enough to use right in a second. Okay? Now, when you look down this with your eye, you'll see that here and there will be just a little more. Okay? You're not trying to dig in. You're trying to keep it absolutely flat. Whatever it takes to get you there. I have a little spot on this side. Just like when you sharpen your chainsaw, you know how it rolls a little chip up? This is basically what I did. It was the same thing. Rolled up a little chip. This happens to be a very, very nice stone. It really is. I don't know how much you want to see me building a handle. Buck and Billy does this good handle building, and he's actually better at me by a long ways. I've been swinging an axe for 55 years, guys, splitting firewood. I started about 7, so you can figure that all out. I had to clean that. So I still got a little mark right there, but I'm not going to mess with that. What I'm going to do is get this. What I'm doing is I'm letting that rock around. I'm just holding this in my hand where it'll rock around. So, you know, I can use my stone to help level me. And same thing, I'm not trying to take that edge, guys. And I don't care about all them little pits and marks that's in there from just not being stoned properly over the years. I don't care about none of them. That is not a defect. The only thing I'm looking at with this ain't a restoration. It's get it where I can use it. That's it. Okay? Now, this is going to take an awful lot more work than what meets the eye. Like I said, think calendar. Yeah, them old timers 120 years ago or so did not have bench grinders like this. Don't think they didn't in some of the manufacturing and stuff, but it was a treadle grinder, you know. I actually have one of them darn foolish things. My wheel needed dressing 120 years ago. It's oblong, you know how they get wobbly. Well, they had a dressing tool for them, but I don't think a lot of people knew how to use them. Now, same thing. Resist getting it sharp. Don't get that temptation. I'm going absolutely flat with this whole surface right here. I'm going absolutely flat, all right? And you can see, boy, be careful at this stage because I'm telling you they're still sharp, okay? But you can see things are starting to change a whole lot, aren't they? Yes, they are. God, I'm at 24 minutes and got 4 hours worth of work left, and I know it. I was a grandkid, want to know everything that my grandpas were doing. You know what was so nice is they were more than willing to share. Oh, don't bother me, get away. Boy, if you're that guy, you're going to have dumb grandkids. I don't get to see my grandkids, honestly. Like, they live out of the area or out of state. But that's all right. I get quality time here and there with them, once in a blue moon. But I'll tell you what I do. I always give kids a chance. Everybody wants to do this. Oh, this generation coming up, they're worthless. What are they going to do? The world's going to go to pot. With an H. Well, guess what? If you don't invest the time in your children or the neighbor kids, you don't get to pass on these things. When I die, if I don't show this to somebody, who's going to know? Who's going to know? And if every region, every town had one old fart that was just willing to show, oh, I'm rough on kids. Oh, I'm rough on them. But I make them smile, I make them laugh. And I teach them things because they're always interested. This is really starting to come together here. Now, when you want to see how flat and how true that's actually becoming, a little light oil, you see where that's headed. You see that? See that wave, that shine? You can see where it changes sometimes. Whoops, I moved that. That's what happened. I have a lot of knowledge of things the old way. This is just one of many. Okay, we're getting a little closer. You can see. Like I said, this is not a restoration. It's a get it to use it thing. I'm going to tell you, I'm sharp. And I'm probably just as sharp as them old timers ever would have wanted. But let's show you the little bit of the finish. What you do is you come to flat. And you go just the slightest off of flat down. I mean, not much. If you're going to talk in degrees, it ain't even a tenth of a degree. And you start working in a circular motion. Let just the way the stone do it. Don't force this. It's them last 2 or 3 strokes sharpening a chainsaw. They're nice and light. That's what this is doing, the same thing. I'm sure I'll get somebody in the comments say, oh, you don't know how to use that. I do mine with a grinder all the time. Good. Do it with a grinder. I'm just showing you how the way it used to be done. I know there's stropping. You can strop these with leather. It's not necessary for this. This part of it doesn't take a long time, really. Now, this is one of them things that you can tell by your witness marks where you're at, okay? We got a little shading, but I'm going to tell you, guys, when you look at that overall as a whole, you feel that, your eyes will deceive you. Body men will tell you this one. Feel it with your hands, man. Boy, don't cut your fingers. That tells you where you're at. And like I said, we got that little roll right there. Same thing. I'm going to go just as flat as I can. I'm getting where the heaviest rolls are first. And then I'm going to go absolute flat. And I'm going to look at my edge right here. It's slightly rolled there. I'm not trying to remove material. I'm only trying to remove that burr. Okay? there's a little piece of burr there that I missed right here on this end. See that? Can you see that? I'm terrible with cameras. You see that burr? You can right there. See that right down just a little further? There's no burr. So I'm going to work that out. Take pride in your workmanship. I mean that, guys. Just take pride in it. Yeah, I know what you machinists are thinking. Well, geez, Harv. Kind of works like a surface grinder, don't it? Yep. I think somebody developed a surface grinder in a blacksmith, if you want to know the truth. Oh, if you guys even had a clue. I rolled that burr the other way just a bit. Now I'm gonna leave some of this here. I'm gonna work real close to that edge of that. That will stop my stone from cutting much. And I'm going to just do the same thing on this edge. Oh my. And once you get it there, keep it there. That's guys, that's sharp. Oh, I'm pulling hair off. I guess it's working, isn't it? Okay, I still have a little burr right there in that area. I got to work that out. A little one right there. This is why you need that light. You're not trying to make a bevel on this back side. I mean, you're not. You want that flat. You want that kept flat. All right? The weight of the stone, that's it. That's all I'm doing. Just the weight of the stone. Now, if you keep messing around with sharpening, you just keep rolling another burr up. Okay. Here's where we're at. Now, when you got your light the appropriate way, I'm sure they did it by a window so they could see on the bench. You can tell exactly where you're taking, removing material and where you're not. Now, just a little oil on your fingers and wipe it off. No, don't rub this way now anymore. You're gonna hurt yourself. This is extremely sharp. It's as sharp as any knife ever. But what makes this work is the bevel. Okay? The degrees of angle, the degrees of bevel. If you get that too fine, it'll be razor sharp for about 3 cuts. Okay, you can see there. Isn't that just amazing? I think so too. Okay. Now that I have this ready to use, and yes, I'm proud of myself. I am. I'm not ever trying to restore it. I'm just trying to use it. Now we got to get it in some wood. But that's going to be another video. Thank you. Goodbye.